Hey, Dr. Clark here with another video, and in this one we're going to learn about refinancing a loan. Let's get started. So two main ideas. First, what is refinancing? And then the second one is how do the principal and interest break down in payments, and especially when you do refinancing. So first, what is refinancing? Well, refinancing involves ending the terms of the original loan and taking the principal balance on the original loan and making that the starting point of a new loan. So essentially, maybe you have a loan, maybe you're 15 years into a 30-year loan, and then you still owe, say, $50,000, and you start a new 30-year loan on that $50,000. Well, what's going to happen then is you get new terms, a new loan, and then instead of paying it off over, the original 30 years, now you're stretching it over another 30 years. So now it's sort of like a 45-year total process. So that's what refinancing does. Because you have new terms, sometimes the interest rate changes, the payment usually changes, that kind of thing. And so people often find this useful. If interest rates go down, they'll refinance to get a lower interest rate. Or maybe their income went down and so they need a lower monthly payment, and so they refinance to a longer loan, which lowers their monthly payment, that kind of thing. What happens when you do refinancing, as you can see in the graphic here, is because refinancing typically extends the length of the loan, the amount of money paid to interest generally decreases. So as a loan progresses, you end up paying over time less. So look at the dashed line. How much money is being paid to interest each month? It starts out around $150, and after 120 months, the dashed line is down to zero. So as a loan progresses, each month the amount of interest, because the principal decreases, the amount of interest decreases, and so you're paying less interest each month than you were the month before, which means you're paying more principal. And so the balance of the loan goes down faster as you progress in time. And you can see that by this graph showing that the amount you pay to interest is decreasing fairly steeply. But what happens when you do a refinance, and you can see it around the 50-month mark, is it extends out the term of the loan, which means the amount paying to interest moves down more slowly, which means the balance of the loan is moving down more slowly as well. And so this is sort of advantageous to a bank in a sense, because they're getting more interest over the life of a loan because they started a new loan with longer terms. Okay, so that's one thing to be aware of. The second thing is the principal and interest in payment. So, and I was alluding to this a minute ago, each payment is split into how much goes to interest and how much goes to principal. Well, as a loan over time, the amount going to interest declines, and more applies to the principal, so the balance is moving down. Early in a loan, it's almost all interest, and late in a loan, it's almost all principal. So the rate and one interesting idea here is the rate at which interest declines accelerates over time. So it's not just that interest goes down, a fixed rate. That rate accelerates, and so towards the end of the loan, you're paying less and less interest at a faster and faster rate, if you will. Okay? And if you look at this in terms of proportion, when you do a refinance, you're extending the terms now. The proportion of interest is increasing. So the original loan there, the proportion of money that's in interest starts out as about 35%, and towards the end it's almost zero. But when you refinance, it goes down to about 20%, and then it jumps back up to 30%. So again, you're paying more interest, which is advantageous to a bank. Essentially, a refinance right at the point when you're starting to pay a bunch of principal means now it's advantageous for the person in the sense that maybe their monthly payment went down. But it's advantageous to the bank in the sense that now they're starting over and they're getting a lot of interest again. And so banks actually like refinancing in that sense. Although if interest rates go down, then it might not be as good for them because, so refinancing is probably advantageous for the borrower when interest rates are lower and advantageous to the bank if you're extending the life of the loan. All right, so those are the two main ideas. Sometimes it's a little counterintuitive, but it's good to have that intuition about how does interest versus principal work. And if, for your own personal finances, it's ideal to get to the point where you're paying off principal so that balance is going down and you're essentially building equity. If you're running a bank, you want to have people refinance and extend those terms so that you're getting more and more interest. And so, there's different perspectives from different points of view based on, are you the bank or are you the person? So, all right, we'll tackle the exploration in class and we'll see you then.